Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Code with Poonam. It's day 8 of our 100 days of coding challenge in JavaScript. Yesterday we explored multiplication of tables, right? And today we are going to tackle a something different but super fun, okay? So let's proceed with the question. So what is the question? Write a JavaScript function that calculates the factorial of a given number. So we have to calculate a factorial of a given number. Okay. So let's proceed with this. So we'll proceed with our VS Code. So you see here the question is already mentioned. So let us break down this question. What is this over here? First, we will have to take this JavaScript function. Okay. So we will take it over here and put it down over here. And then what is the next thing that we have to calculate the factorial of any given number? Okay. Now, since this question is related to the factorial, so we will write here factorial. Okay. So just let us write here a factorial with a function name factorial. So we will create a function name with a factorial today. Okay. And now if we see here, this is what factorial of any given number. So now we will have to understand what is a factorial of a number. How do we get a factorial of any number? So how do we get it? Suppose let us assume the number is 5. Okay. So how can we do it? We will have to multiply from 5 to 1. So how it will happen? 5, then 4, and then 3, then 2, and then 1. So it is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Suppose you take a number 6. So how it will proceed then? It will be 6 times. Okay, it will be what? It will be 6 times, and after that 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So it will continue till 1. So whatever number we are going to take, it will start from that number and we will reduce it by 1 and we will keep on multiplying it. So this is what is the logic we are going to use it over here. So now what we will do, we know that we are going to create a function with a factorial name. Now if you observe what is here in this function, what we will write, if you see what is there, 1 to 6, 1 to 5. So again it is a loop, right? There is a range from 1 to that particular number. So what we will do here is we will again take a loop. Okay, and what we will do, instead of going from 6 to 1, let us go from 1 to that number. Okay, so we will start our loop from 1. Okay, and we will end till that number. Okay, like this, and we have to increment it. So this is our loop, right? And then inside that, this logic we are going to write it over here. Okay, so let us see how that logic will be executed. That also we will see it out. Okay, so now let us write here function and our function name. So function name is, we have assumed factorial, so let us write that. And now let us invoke this function. Okay, so factorial, and here what we will do, we will pass our argument over here. Argument means we are going to pass the number for which we are going to calculate. So let us assume we are going to calculate for 5. Okay, so I will put here 5, and then it is going to receive it over here, right? So I will write here, we can take it right now as n, or you can assume as number also. I am putting right now as n. So it is accepting it over here. Now let us just, what we will do, we will write here console.log of n, and we will check whether this function is executing or not. So we'll come to our terminal and we will write node, and we will write our file name, that is 08. Okay, that is our today's day challenge, right? So then if you see, I am successfully able to get this particular 5 over here. That means this function is successfully running, correct? Now as we have discussed over here that we are going to take a loop right inside this. So what we will do now, we will take a for loop and we will run from 1 to that particular number. Okay, so here it, in this case it will be 1 to 5. So we will have to write let I is equal to 1, and we will start here and we will end it at what? Till n. That means till 5, and we are going to increment it by 1 again and again. That is why I plus plus. And let us see in console.log whether we are able to execute it or not, this for loop. So once again, I will write here node and our file name, and you see here we are able to get this 1 to 5. This 5 is this console.login. So for a time being, let us comment this out. Okay. Now we are able to do this. Now inside this, we will have to write the logic. Now what we will write the logic over here. So we want to calculate this and we have to multiply this, right? So what we will do it, let us create a variable called as a result and assign the value as 1. Now why 1? Because see, if you suppose assume, if you suppose assign by 0, because in previous videos what we have done where we were calculating the sum, we have assigned as 0, correct? But here we will not assign as 0, we will assign as 1. Why? Because if you multiply anything with 0, it will become 0, right? So we cannot take it over here 0. We will have to take 1 here itself, because anything multiplied by 1 remains the same value. So this does not make any difference. So that is why we will store it with 1. And why not with string and not with anything else? Because we need to do a multiplication, right? So we need to have an integer value over here so that we can multiply this over here, correct? So that is why we are writing let result is equal to 1, correct? So now what we will do it here, now we will come inside this and we will what do, result is equal to, and we will have to write here result multiplied by I. Now I'll explain you this as well, how it is going to work. First, let us see how it works out. Okay, so result is equal to, we are going to multiply whatever the result will be, we are going to multiply by I. Now why we are going to do it, let us see over here. Okay, what happens when we do this? Okay, now suppose when the value of I, okay, we will take here the value of I here as first time the value is 1, right? So first time I is equal to 1, and we will take this all three and let us understand this step by step. So if you see here, the value I is initialized value is I is equal to 1. So we will remove it here and we will keep this condition over here and the increment, and we will also keep here the result, because we are going to store our value inside the result itself, right? Now let us understand this loop and then you will understand this calculation as well. Now you see here this value right now which we have it, this is 1. Now what happens here, it will test the condition I is equal to 1, and it is going to test the condition I is less than or is equal to n. N means it is always right now what it will be here in this term, it will always be 5, right? So it will be tested over here, and if it finds that it is less, 1 is less than, correct, 5, then it will become true over here, correct? And then what will happen, it is going to increment it. Okay, when it finds n, it will increment it over here, so it will become 2. And now what will be the result? If you understand, now it will come inside this, correct? It will come inside this, and what will happen, result is equal to result multiplied by I. Right now the value of result is what, 1. Initial value is what, 1, correct? So we'll keep it here. So 1 into 1, right? 1 into I means 1 into 1, correct? So that becomes what, nothing but 1 itself. So result will hold initial, after calculating it will have 1. Okay, this is the first thing which we are going to do here. Now after that I is going to increment, so I incremented, right? So now we have here I is equal to 2. Again it will check that this condition 2 is less than or is equal to 5. It is less than 5, right? The condition is true again. So then after that what will happen, it is going to increment it, correct? And it will check this particular, now this calculation will happen. Now what is the value of result right now? It is still the 1. And what is the value of I? It is nothing but 2, right? So it will become 2, correct? Now in the third iteration what will happen, it will become 3, correct? And then here if you come here again, it is going to check 3 is less than or is equal to n. It is less than n, right? That means less than 5. So it is going to be printed as true over here, and then what will happen, it will increment again. Now what is the result value? 2. What is the I value? 3, right? So it becomes what, 6, correct? It becomes what, 6. So 2 times 3 is what, 6. Now what will happen here, again it will come here and it will take the I value as 4, and then again here it is going to check 4 is less than or is equal to 5. Yes, it is less. So this condition is true and it is going to increment, correct? So it will increment here, as 5. After this, what will happen? What is the result value now? Updated value result 6, correct? Because we are doing again and again 6 result into I, correct? So then 6 into I, what is the I value? 4. So 6 into 4 will be what? 24, correct? Now, after that, what will happen? After that, again here we will have 5, correct? Incremented value. Again, it will check I is less than or is equal to n, correct? So it will check and it will see here, yes, it is true because it is I is equal to n. So again, it will print here true and then it will again go and increment, okay? Now what will happen here? Now what will be the next thing we will get here? 24. What is the final value of result? 24 into 5, correct? Then what it will print here now? It will print here 120, correct? It will print here what? 120. So now again, I value has incremented, it will become 6, correct? And then it will test the condition. 6 is less than or is equal to n? No, it is false. So here your loop is going to terminate. So your loop terminates here and you get your final value as 120. So this is what will happen. So if you come here and if you console your result, okay, then you will see you are going to get the same output. Let us test it. What do we get? We get 1, 2, 6, 24 and 120. This is what we are able to get it. But since we want the final value, just the 120, what we will do, we are not going to print our result inside this. We are going to print our result outside this for loop, correct? Now, if you come here and if we print it here, so we will get here what? Now, once again, you run it, you will get here 120. So this is what we are going to get it. 6 into 5, sorry, 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. This is the factorial of 6 and this is the factorial of 5. So when we come here to the factorial of 6, it will become what? 720, right? So if you change your number and if you test it once again for a factorial of 6 and if you just test it once again, you will get nothing but here 720. So this is what we have, okay? Now the same thing we can do it here as well. We can write the most preferable line over here. What is the most preferable line we prefer, right? Result. And then what we write in the previous examples, in the previous videos we have seen, right? Examples, questions which we have solved. There we have seen what we are supposed to do. Result times is equal to or star is equal to I, correct? And it is going to be the same. So now once again, if you run it, you will get the same output here. So now what we will do? Now we will just improvise this. So let us clear the terminal now and let us improvise this console.log statement as well. And we will use our template syntax. Yes. And we will write here the factorial of a number, right? So what is the number? N, right? So I will take here n inside this and then we can write colon and we will get our result here. So just let us test it once again in our terminal. If we see here, we have got factorial of 5 is 120, factorial of 6 is 720, right? So this is how the loop is going to execute. So after every iteration, it is going to get multiplied and it is going to give the final output. So that is how we calculate the factorial of any number, okay? So if I have to just give you a recap over here, what we have done, we have written a function which is going to calculate the factorial, correct? So this is how factorial is calculated from that 5 to that number 1. But what we have done, we have just reversed it out. While writing the loop, we have taken from 1 to that number. So this is our factorial n, which is taking our number. Then you have a result, which is storing our initial value, which when we multiply, it doesn't have any concern over here. So it will keep on multiplying and it will keep on storing the value over here result. And then We have taken a loop which is going to run it till the n, and it is going to calculate the factorial, and it will store in this result variable, correct? And then we have here console.log statement, and then we have invoked this particular function, the factorial, correct? And we are able to execute it over here, and if we see in the terminal properly, we have improvised our console.log statement as well, correct? So that's all for day 8, guys. I hope you found today's challenge interesting and informative as well. So factorials are a classic problem in programming, an excellent way to get comfortable with the loops, I will say. So I hope you like this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And stay tuned for day 9 as well, where we are going to solve another fun coding challenge. So see you tomorrow, guys. Keep coding. And as always, happy learning. Take care. Bye bye, guys.